Welcome everybody. We're here with Kamin Samuel, and we are here to talk about our upcoming event, the Upgrade Your Coaching event. And we're here to help coaches or any online entrepreneur to really become more powerful and or grow your coaching practice. We really want to help as many people as we can. And this is what it's all about. This is why this is a no cost event to join. Yes, there is a VIP upgrade for a small fee, but it's nothing to scream and yell about. But anyway, so Kamin, tell us a little more about yourself and how you got to where you're at. I mean, I know a little bit about you and some might, but for those that don't, tell me a little bit about your story.
Well, it's so great to be here, Tony, with you. So thank you for having me. And I'm really excited about the summit next week and teaching. And so a little bit about my background. I'm a former Navy helicopter pilot. And then I kind of, when I left the military, crashed and burned financially and epically, and then had to kind of figure out who I was and how to grow myself back. And so I went into corporate, which I had wanted to do, and did years there and kind of grew my career from a web developer up into executive. But all along, I loved helping people, and no matter what job I was in, I was always find my way to mentoring and coaching. And so about 11 years ago, I became a full-time coach and have been doing that ever since. Really, it's just my heart to help people thrive.
Awesome. And it's funny because when I first came across your path was actually after I did Steve Chandler's online ACS. I was too late after he stopped the live and in-person version, but I'm like, who is this woman? And so I started doing a little more research into you. And as soon as I found out you were the first African-American Navy helicopter, I'll be honest, I gave myself a little bit of a fist pump. I was like, oh yeah, that's the kind of person I like to talk to right there. Because I mean, I'm sure you had to overcome a lot to get there. Not just from various aspects of it. That's a challenging position in itself. And I enjoy aviation. I've been in the aviation industry prior to being a coach for 20 plus years. And so when I saw that, I was really impressed. So what kind of things did you have to overcome to really get there?
Wow, I think there were a lot of things I had to overcome. One easy one was, well, not easy to overcome, was not being an athlete. Most of the aviators were runners and, all sorts of things, athletes. And so I was not that. And so I had to really up my game in that category. And then I think, I really had wanted to be in the Navy, not necessarily an aviator. And I was given the opportunity to go the aviation path. And so learning to fly, learning to be away from my parents, because I was, 21 when I left home. And even though I had gone away for school, being out at sea and deployment and those kinds of things were a little bit more scary than I had originally anticipated, being away from family and friends. But all in, it was such an amazing experience and helped me to grow and thrive in ways that I couldn't have even imagined.
Nice. And so you just mentioned you from there, had to crash and burn, and then you went into the corporate world.
Yes.
And so when you worked your way up through the corporate world, which I've got a very similar story. And so I'm curious as to what led you from working your way up through the corporate world to becoming a full-time coach 11 years ago.
Oh, well, I think, and you may have found this, corporate life, corporate politics were a thing. And, once I got to become a vice president, it was really this interesting thing. Like I really saw all of these senior vice presidents and above, they were, working 12 to 15 hours a day, going home a little bit, seeing their kids just a little bit. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. And at the same time, my calling and the thing that had been reaching out to me and really working on me for years had been this idea of coaching. Because when I thought about being a therapist and marriage and family therapist, but I'm too direction focused. I'm going to tell you what to do sometimes. And so I really wanted a path to be able to help people, because again, no matter where I was, people would find me. They didn't even work for me. They're like, we have to, we have some questions on our life. Can we sit and ask you questions? So they would just gravitate to me anyway. And I figured, well, let's just go do this thing and really help more people do what they love to do.
Right, right. And so you heard me talk a little bit at the beginning. So Kamin and I and several others, including Steve Chandler, Eric Lofholm, Ankush Jain, we're all a part of this virtual summit coming up this weekend. So if you want to come join us and be a part of this, there's no cost to enter. Go to this link, go to upgradekamin.com and go there, be a part of this event. I mean, there's 14 speakers that are going to bring you value and tons of value. We've got half of us that are going to help you upgrade your mindset, upgrade your visions, upgrade your personalities, things like that are really going to help you grow personally. And the other half are going to help you find that wealth. Some are going to teach you video marketing, some are going to teach you Pinterest marketing. There's so much. The prosperous coach method's going to come out. I mean, there's so much here, and there's nothing out of pocket for you to join. Just a little bit of investment of time, and maybe a little bit more if you choose to implement the things that you're going to learn. So with that, so one of my favorite books, so Kamin's written 5 so far, and the last is so far my favorite. And she wrote this with Steve Chandler. You can see I've got a few tabs here where I've made some notes. This is Wealth Creation for Coaches. So this is your topic. You're going to be speaking on is Wealth Creation for Coaches. So tell us a little more of what people have in store and why people should really listen to what you have to say.
Well, thank you, first of all, for mentioning the book, flagging the book. I like when people show me that they've wrecked the book, like they're really in it. Wealth Creation for Coaches was really a brainchild. I've been blessed to work with Steve for many years and be coached by him. And so Steve kind of talks globally about, the prosperous coach. He's not going to tell you how to do anything. He doesn't give the tactics. And because I was a Navy pilot, I like tactics. I was a flight instructor. I like to give people the path I took. And really it's my path. And wealth creation really, because of when I talked about crashing and burn, years ago, I knew that it started on the inside of me, and it's what I believed about money, what I believed about my possibilities. And so on Friday, when I'm talking and teaching in the class, that's where we're gonna talk about kind of the prosper. I really come from the prosperous coach methodology of building relationships. And for me, it's our relationship first with ourselves before we can be with others. So we're going to work on some mindset pieces that I loved. I mean, this really is my jam. I mean, when somebody gives me like a messy belief that they have, I'm like, this is the greatest thing. Because a lot of people have heard, I've got to work hard. They'll tell me, it's the economy. And I'm like, tell me what you believe about the economy. And so we're going to handle some of those really tough beliefs that coaches and entrepreneurs have about what's possible for them to create. Because right now, I have held, really since the beginning of the pandemic, this is the most creative time in history. And we need every coach and entrepreneur to thrive and to do what they do. And so Friday, we're going to talk about that and kind of designing their lives and who they are and how to strengthen their strengths and really go out and monetize their essence and the calling that they have on their lives.
And you're so right. I wholeheartedly believe that I like to say everybody needs a coach, but I'd like to say everybody who wants improvement in their life needs a coach, because not everybody does. Not everybody's coachable. However, anybody who wants to improve their lives needs a coach. And that's why, like you said, the coaches out there that are worried about the economy, they're worried about this. I don't know that they recognize how much they have to offer and how much they can do for the people out there in this world and the people that need them, including us. And so I really love to hear you say that. I love to hear that.
I'd like to put it.
Somebody's blowing it up
here. I like to put it in terms of, the U.S. Open tennis was on over the weekend, and I like to put it in terms of when you look at the top tennis players, they don't have one coach in there. They have like, a multitude of coaches that are one's working on mindset, one's working on this stroke, one's whatever. And the average person thinks, I don't need a coach. And I'm like, at least just get one, like,
Right.
because we all, like, I could have used a coach, and I sought out mentors when I was growing my corporate career, because I don't know what I don't know. I don't know the blind spots that I have. And so the ability for us to have somebody, and the coaches who are going to join us in the summit and as participants and speakers, the speakers all have coaches. Like, we had to get coaches, because in order for us to thrive, and I, hired Steve because I wanted to go faster. I knew what I wanted to do, and I needed to go fast to make up my corporate salary, really, is why I hired him. And so that's what I was able to accomplish. And bless his heart, he he coaches me, and I still bring some of the same things over and over again, and he doesn't care. He's just, so I get to work on myself and my coaches, because I coach a lot of coaches and consultants. We're just up leveling and continuing to grow, and see life differently so that we can help others.
Right. Well, and you mentioned something earlier, and you're absolutely right. Everything you're hitting on with coaches, consultants, with executives, they all need a coach. They need to change that mindset. And something you hit on earlier is working on ourselves. A coach, one of the coaches that's speaking with us, Kellen, and him and I work together a little bit. And one of the things he has talked about over and over is, can you look yourself in the mirror and truly say, I love you? Can you say that I love everything about that person that's looking back at me in the mirror? And if not, then it's time to go to work. Let's figure out what that is. And so many people in the world don't recognize that until somebody calls them out. They may think, oh, I've got this confidence, I'm good, I got all this. And then you're like, well, what about this? What about your relationships? What about your career? What about, and then they're like, oh, and then they get shrink down in their chair, and you get that posture disappears. And so I love to hear that. And what kind of things do you do when you help people like that?
Oh, it's so fun, because one is, I love to hear. I was working with someone earlier this week, and just, I love to listen to language. And so language will tell me everything about where somebody might be stuck, where their beliefs are. And this particular individual might have been saying, like, I don't understand how people charge so much. And we're going to talk about that on Friday, is, how to charge appropriately for themselves, not necessarily about somebody else. And so I'm really looking for, okay, where are the stuck places there's a chapter, it's, we call them the money veil, and in wealth creation for coaches. And it's like, what's hiding us from who we could be.
Right.
And so I kind of can go in there and help people see, okay, these are the beliefs that you have, and what would the more empowering belief be? And the ability for coaches and entrepreneurs to recognize that they may have beliefs that are not serving them, and then to know what to do with those beliefs. To see, I happen to be gifted in seeing people's genius and calling it out on how they can monetize that.
Right.
That, to me, greatest thing I can do for an individual, to help them get a sense of the truth of who they are.
Right. And that's so huge, so huge. Trying to find who we really are. I mean, you've talked about this before. The last time we were truly ourselves is when we were little kids, before we got that programming, before we got programmed by our parents, our teachers, our coaches, or when I say coaches, our athletic coaches growing up. It's really piled onto us, and it takes some time for us to figure out who that is again, and to really dig deep and go, what was I like when I was 6 or 7 years old? What was I really like? What did I want to be? Who was I like? And it's important that we find that. And I know that you help people find that, and it's a lot of fun once you see that aha moment in someone's face, like that was the moment that turned right there, and you're like, Yep, you got it right there.
Yep.
There it is. I've seen it. I know you've seen it. And when you see somebody make that turn, it's life changing.
Truly. And it really is so fun for people to awaken that the voice that has been telling them to play small, that they're not enough, that they're not good enough, they're not worthy, they're not deserving, isn't even their voice.
Right. Right.
It sounds like them, but it's not. And it's not about blame of anyone, but it's really about how do we start to look and kind of go on this adventure and excavate the beliefs that we have that are no longer serving us, and then put in new beliefs that are empowering, that then support us in growing and really having a different relationship with money, having a thriving relationship with money, allowing us, many people have what I call it, holes in the container, and so money comes in and it leaks right out. Money comes in and it goes right out. And so we work on how to shore that up underneath, so that it's okay for not only money to come in, but to stay with them, and make it more familiar for money to stay. And then really it's like this opportunity for people to see and design where it is that they want to go from here.
Right.
What is it that you want to create? We are, as Steve has said in his book, Creator, we are the creator of our practices.
I don't have it here right now, but I usually keep a sticky note right on my screen that is the question, what do you want to create? I love that question. Devin Bannison's the one that first turned me on to that question. So you mentioned something there about helping people change their beliefs around the money, their mindset. Now, you mentioned yourself, and I've been there myself. You mentioned crashing and burning after getting out of the military. I've crashed and burned a couple of times myself. How do you help somebody in that situation that's in that crash and burn, that low point? How do you help them change those beliefs to go, okay, it's okay. If you work on it and move your beliefs this way, then you can still get out of that hole. When somebody's in the hole, how do you really help them with that?
That's such a great question, Tony, because I think it's one of the things that we want to really do is look at what's the smallest possible step you can take, and then what's the next step. And many times it's just having the vision first, finding the beliefs, what got us here, because it's not by accident.
Right.
And there's sometimes it is somebody else's fault, and sometimes it's in partnership with what we are doing. And most people don't always want to hear that.
Right.
But then it's taking that power to say, okay, what am I trying to create? And many times people will be in those low places and want to, jump up here. And I like to say that in between those two are a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of beliefs that'll hold us back, that really paralyze us from moving forward. And what we want to do is like pick a goal here, and there's not that many beliefs that can get in there,
Right.
and then move up, and then pick another goal and move up. And so once we start to create that momentum and spiral up, that's gold.
It is. And it's friend of mine, Darren Hardy, with the compound effect. I mean, it's, you do one little thing, just change one thing small. It can be this small, and do that every day. And that compiles up to something bigger. And then you add something and add something along the way. And that overall, even though it takes a little bit of time, and that's where I find with some of the clients is they're looking for instant gratification, instant results. Well, I'm sorry, that does take a little bit of time. You need to help change that mindset and change the habits in your life. It's about practice. It's about taking a little time to do it. Have you found that yourself?
I completely found that. And it's also, so I have a PhD in positive neuropsychology. And so I have a master's in spiritual science and psychology, and one in spiritual psychology. And then I have neuroscience and positive psychology. So I kind of play in both the woo woo and into the scientific world. And so regardless of where somebody is, it's this idea of resonance, right? So if we are down, we've just, crashed and burned, whatever, we are resonating with that pool of thoughts and beliefs and energy and people. And what we want to do is close the gap between who our ideal client is, what we're working on. We're going to talk about this too, is like how to shift that energy up so we can start to incrementally grow, and then grow what we're actually seeing in the world, who's coming to us, how does help magically appear for someone.
Right.
And so I have a group of coaches right now, and sometimes they'll say it was like magically somebody out of the blue just reached out to me. I'm like, no, it is magic, yes, but it's also you co-created that based on where you're thinking and who you like to play with and work with and what you're offering. So it's our opportunity to play a new game with ourselves, because when I went into bankruptcy and foreclosure, it was really me. I knew it. Once I saw that it was where my beliefs were, and then I heard certain thoughts, I had to choose new thoughts that got me out of it.
Right. That's amazing. So you guys have been listening to Kamin, Samuel, and myself. We are doing this virtual summit this weekend called Upgrade Your Coaching. And if you haven't joined yet, I don't know why you haven't yet, because it doesn't cost anything to join. Go to this link, go to Upgrade Kamin and join, be a part of this. Come see us Friday and Saturday. And Kamin's going to be speaking in the morning on Friday. I think it's the morning on Friday. And
early afternoon on Friday.
Early afternoon on Friday. But anyway, there's, again, so many great speakers. Make sure you go to this link, get registered, and come be a part of that with us. So before we go, what are some last thoughts that you have for our audience here today?
Well, Tony, I think one of the things I would leave with everybody with is that you've created an amazing lineup. Steve's going to be there, and Kellen and Ankush, and so many others that I highly respect and know and are amazing teachers as well. And so it's an opportunity to again, for free or a low cost upgrade, is really this opportunity for people to take time, like really take time to learn. And you've put together this amazing blend of coaches and marketers that can really help people change the trajectory of their careers. So join us, come, be a part, ask questions, and really double down on the fact that we believe in you. We wouldn't do this if we didn't believe that any coach or business owner or entrepreneur could thrive, and we need everyone right now. So we just want to see as many people there so that you can do the work you're doing in the world and create a sustainable and thriving practice.
Exactly. You said it better than I could have said it. So thank you for that. Well, thank you everybody for joining us here today. It's been an amazing conversation. Hopefully if you weren't here live, you get to watch the replay. Again, make sure you click this link, join us at this wonderful event with so much ability for growth and ability to grow not only yourself and your practice or your business, whatever that might be. So thank you again, everybody, and have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.